Hey, what is up, recruiters, search firm owners, headhunters, and all you beautiful staffing professionals? This is Headhunters Live. You may know me as DSP. Everybody else calls me David Stephen Patterson. We have also my good buddies over here. We have Neil Lebovitz, and then we
I just
also
turned my
have,
light on. Sorry.
and we have Chris Wessel, the most beautiful man in the business.
They call me the face
All right,
of
so
recruiting, I think. I don't know.
you are the
I think
face
I
of
just-
you are the face of recruiting. Beautiful man. And I say that without an ounce of shame. I'm not too proud to admit you are a good looking man, but
No one's ever
this is not
accused you
just
of
about,
any shame.
yeah, I don't have any shame at all.
Or too little
you
of
guys-
it either, right? Or too little. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have an amazing show planned for you today. Many of you may have heard about the Pinnacle Society, and it is I think 80 to 90 of some of the best recruiters in the world. You have to apply to join. It's very hard to get in. And we have a panel of 3 Pinnacle Society recruiters who are going to be talking to us all about recruitment today. So we're really, really excited about that. But first, before we dive into that, Neil, I have to ask,
Listen,
are you back in New York now, or are you still in
I am
in Florida?
Yeah, here we go. Upper East Side, Central Park. I am back in New York. I got back Monday night. So I'm here.
So for those folks who don't know, Neil is moving to Florida, and it's almost kind of like a Kurt Russell escape from New York situation, is it not?
It is, and this is almost like a transgender reveal because I haven't shared it with anyone publicly yet. So that's good news, David. Thank you for that. My employees.
Well,
out
you did
there, I'll
share
it
that
with
with
the
everyone.
website soon. I have not shared it yet, but I
Larry.
don't care. I'm not. I was going to write it up when I had time, but those who are watching, the rumors will now spread. But yeah, thank you
I'm
for
sorry.
outing me. I think it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, but no one
Yes,
knows
Patterson.
except my family and close friends. Yeah. But I don't care. It's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Hopefully, your family
Definitely
won't
put it
disown
up.
you for disappointing them.
But yeah, I'm
coming out.
moving to beautiful Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I had to get my dad to move down there. My mom passed, and had to get her down to my dad down to independent living, assisted living, and so I'm going to move down, and I'm ready. So anyway, I'm excited.
Well, I
Thank you,
think
David.
that's awesome too, because I feel like once you get down there and you're closer to South Beach, you can go to Ocean Drive, and now you have more places you could take the faux Rari.
My faux Rari. That's hysterical, dude. I'm going to call it
faux
that.
Rari.
That's awesome. Did you make that up?
Like just on the fly. That was my one funny thing for the day. I'm going to go now.
I have a Corvette. So everyone
But
thinks
it looks
Ferrari.
a
They're
lot
it's
like yeah.
It does. And so people think I'm driving
I
this
love
$500,000 car. There's
That's
not
great.
a lot. It's a faux Rari. I love that. But you know what the best part of it is?
Well-
David and I
What's that?
are going to end up hanging once in a while regularly because we're going to be 4 hours apart. We'll meet halfway for. Anyway, thank you guys. I'm excited.
I
David's
say
going to teach
I'm excited
me
about that.
the Florida ways.
Oh.
David, don't be
Well,
hard on me.
I won't be too hard on you. I know you like me to be a little bit hard on you, but that
David,
said,
I lobbed that to you to see if you could resist. That was a lob. You couldn't even resist the lob. You paused. You knew
can't
it was a
resist. I'm
lob.
insatiable.
Anyway, back to you.
Well, let's bring in our Pinnacle Society members, because I'm sure the fine people here don't want to listen to us banter too terribly long. I know we are interesting, but not that interesting. So
Well,
before
no,
we do
I
that,
actually got
guys,
a message today about how fun we are and how she loves the show and cracks up every time. And I sent it to you guys because it made my day. So banter, we're about time to move on. So David, I'm going to shut up.
but yeah, the banter is important. That is important.
Yeah.
Well, now that said, I do want to say before we bring on our Pinnacle members here, if you guys are watching live, I want to make sure that you're watching. We want to make sure that you can hear us. Please comment live in the comments below. We are on YouTube, LinkedIn, running on 2 different Facebook groups, Neil's as well as mine. So please comment live. And if you're watching the replay, comment replay. Also, please like the show, love it, share it with your friends. If everybody watching this shared the show, we'd be huge. So please share it if you like the show, or even share if you don't like the show. Share it anyway. Also, if you have any questions for our members, put them in the comments. We'll try to hit all the questions that we can as time allows. Okay. With that said, let's talk to our Pinnacle Society members. So first up, we have Brody Nowak. Nowak, is that how you pronounce it? Nowak?
No walk.
Nowak. Okay, Brody Nowak. And we also have over here,
it's also
Kathy.
Bodie. No R.
No R. Okay. Oh, Bodie. Sorry.
He's not a bro. He's a bow. Bo, not bro.
He's a bow. Okay.
He's my beau. He's not my bro.
We have Kathy Stewart here, and then we also have who apparently has a history with Rich Rosen, and we have Michelle Lair. So before the show, so just so you guys know, Rich Rosen, who is also a Pinnacle Society member, he's a $1 million biller, has been for years. We all know him, we all love him. Maybe some of us hate him, but he's overall great guy. He actually brought this all together with this panel, and on our pre-show, Michelle was telling us how her history with Rich Rosen.
We should sell premium access to this green room. It's gold.
Well, all right, Michelle, do I have permission to tell the story or no? You want to move on?
100%.
All right, so
this is funnier
going to be
if
a great.
Yes.
It is. Will you? No. Well, how are we going to say it? I could set it up. I don't know.
Listen.
So basically, we're asking everybody how they know Rich Rosen. So Michelle, how do you know Rich Rosen?
At the age of 52, I lost my virginity to Mr. Rosen. It was a night to remember. And that, my friend, is how I got into Pinnacle.
Was it hard to get into Pinnacle?
It was for about 3 minutes.
Oh God, this is gonna be a bad show. All right,
Brutal.
David,
That was a
flash
good
a
one.
disclaimer for those under 13 to parental. There might be adult themes and to not appropriate for younger age, mature audience.
And if you were wondering how to get in the Pinnacle Society, we got right to it in the first few minutes. So,
and Rich is very
Cox,
handsome.
funny thing is,
great friend of the
Bodie did the
show.
same thing actually. But,
Well, Michael G. Cox, good friend of the show, just said Rich offered me the same deal.
See, there's a theme here. It's exposed.
All right, so now I'm offended.
Oh, fantastic. Well, let's start here because I want if some of the folks who are watching the show may not know who you guys are. So let's just go around. If you can let us know who you are, what you do, your industry, kind of your history with Pinnacle, and from there, I want to leave this really open to the viewers because I'm sure they'll have questions. I'm sure we'll talk about business development, talk about client relationships, surviving during recessions, going through hard times, etc. Keeping your head up. But yeah, let's start off with Bodie. So tell us a bit about you. What do you do? Who are you?
Yeah. So Bodie Nowak. I'm out here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've been recruiting since April 2008, and I joined Pinnacle in 2022. I attended the spring meeting, and then they voted me in after that. They may have regretted that ever since, but nonetheless, I'm still here. So my practice is Blackwood Partners. We are a construction development recruiting practice. We work primarily with general contractors, developer builders, mainly major market Texas, but we've got clients throughout the Sun Belt. I've got a business partner and we've got an admin. Started recruiting, on a 360 desk in 2008 on a construction practice with 3 area codes out in Florida. Horrible timing. I did well for about 7 months. Then the recession kicked my ass. In 2009, I billed one placement and I made about $11,000. That, I don't even know why my company kept me then, to be honest with you, but they did. We shifted gears, and after that, I moved on and developed a dig in another industry. Did well in that. In 2016, we shelved that because it was dying and came back to construction. So, I've kind of reinvented myself a few times over the course of the 15, 16 years I've been in business. Last year, we made the decision to purchase our division from our previous employer, and we've been doing business on our own since October 2nd of last year, and things are going well so far. So that's kind of a brief summary.
Thank you, Bodie. That's great. It's fantastic. The reinvention of yourself can be fun. It's stressful, but I think it's kind of necessary to revitalize your motivation.
Yeah, you certainly learn a lot. The wins teach you something, but the losses teach you a whole lot more.
You either win
100%,
or you learn.
100%.
That's right.
About you, Kathy. Tell me a bit about you. What do you do? Who are you?
So I'm
I'm an executive recruiter with Jeff Harris and Associates. We're a recruiting firm that specializes in senior living. So Neil, when your dad went to independent living and assisted living, those are the kind of organizations that I work with, primarily those higher end communities that have that full continuum of care. So I can tell you who's good, who's not. And if your dad's not in a great place, then we can find a better place. I'll help you out find a better place for him.
The Palace at the West is beautiful. I never knew they existed, that whole world. It's all new to me. Yeah.
Yep. So
gorgeous.
I've been in
Nicest
senior
place I've ever
living
lived in.
since 2008. I also started in 2008. And I think what's really interesting, senior living, healthcare, it's one of those industries that right now the baby boomers are all hitting that 80-year mark, which is the average age of people going into these retirement communities. And so we've got this big 20-year push where we've got a ton of people coming into senior living and healthcare with baby boomers all retiring. And back in 2008, when the shit hit the fan, so to speak, about probably 2/3 of recruiting offices closed their doors in 2008, 2009. It was really bad. We stayed flat that year. We made a tack to move into a super little high-end niche of senior living called continuing care retirement communities. There, we stayed flat in 2009, and I became a 360 recruiter in 2009. So I learned how to market in the worst of times. And I feel like that's what kind of made me a really great recruiter long-term. I, in 2014, started developing a team. I have 2 recruiters and a researcher that work with me, and we just rock it out. That's all we do in senior living.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, Kathy, I think you're right. I think when you go through a recession like that, it makes you better. I think, or when you go through hard times, like that's when you know your true self. So I definitely want to touch back on that. But before I do that, though, what about you, Michelle? So let's talk about you. What do you do? And who are you?
I was headhunting major in college. I majored in headhunting. No. He's looking at me like I actually did. No one does that.
He majored in comedy.
Yeah.
You know what?
Got an HBN. Yeah.
What was your major?
You can
Political science.
major in anything nowadays, I think.
And that didn't do me any good.
Mine was in music education, so that was even better.
Look at Kathy cutting in on my time. Kathy!
We're best friends. We came into Pinnacle at the same time.
So I fell into recruiting like everyone else, totally by accident. I had spent 2 years home I had babies back to back. And so I had a newborn and then I had a 1-year-old, and my ex-husband decided that it was a good idea to have sex with other women. And I was like, okay, peace out. let me find a job. And my current boss 20 years ago called me and was like, hey, I saw your resume posted on Monster. And I was like, no, I've been in outside sales my whole life. I'm not going to be a headhunter. And I had been in outside sales in Manhattan and Philadelphia. And so being a headhunter, I had worked with headhunters and wanted no part of it. So I took the job out of desperation because I had an infant and a toddler. And now every year for the past 20 years, I've said I'm going to quit. Every year I'm like, this is my last year. I want no part of this chaos and bullshit. And here I am 20 years later. So I work in the pharma biotech space. And it sounds fancy schmancy, but I still don't know the difference between chemistry and biology. I just have been faking it for the past 20 years. And I run a team, and we try and make it work. I feed them jobs. Sometimes I work a job. Sometimes I assign a job depending on the level of the job. And that's it. So here I am 20 years later.
Well, that's one of the great things about this business. And I call this, I say this all the time, this business is like the land of misfit toys. Because we never belonged anywhere else. We usually fall into this business ass backwards. And then 20 years later, right, you're still trying to get out of it, and you're sucked in, you can't escape. And it's just, and we come from all these disparate worlds. I always like to think of it as, if maybe you're a failed accountant, so what you do, you go headhunt accountants now. right?
Right.
And make 3 times the money. And so that's why I think, yeah, we're the land of misfit toys. It's one of the great things about this business. That's why I love this business so much.
But if
Right.
you look at
But,
what we just discussed and what we found out about ourselves is that we're morally loose and we're gluttons for punishment. So we can work in any industry we want.
Any industry.
Very
morally
adaptable.
loose.
Yeah.
I love that. And
But,
and
speaking of-
recruiters are like sailors with the dirtiest mouths, tell the dirtiest stories. Yeah.
You have
recruiters
to
are
be able
fun.
to do it for more than a couple of years or even a couple of minutes. But like speaking of like different industries, though, one thing I noticed when I looked at all the folks that are listed on like Pinnacle website, and I think this is a good lesson for recruiters that are trying to strive for that level, is very specialized for the most part, like senior living, construction, et cetera. Right. So I don't know if the three of you could speak to that, because I know that a lot of times I think that fundamentally a lot of people know that like if you specialize, you can charge more, you can be more efficient, et cetera. But a lot of times there's a fear to commit in a direction because you want to just go after whatever you could. Like, can maybe if some of you could speak to like what it was like to narrow that much and why it worked so well for you.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah. I'll just tell you with senior living, because none of you all probably like senior living. What the heck is that? Like, who knows what that is? But it is a teeny tiny niche of healthcare. And I think what it does is there's about 1,700 of these super high end retirement communities that have that full continuum of care. So what that does is allows you to know everybody across that space really, really well, and allows you to kind of move in and out and specialize. There are some people that will specialize in a specific area, a specific title. Like some people will say, oh, I just do executive directors, or I just do sales and marketing in this niche. I'll do anything in senior living because I know the niche really well. So anything from operations, sales and marketing, clinical,
because you know
finance,
the business,
anything. But it's just that, but it's the niche of that business that is really important. So it's very different from any other healthcare piece.
And are you nationwide, by the way? Like, are you just Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I work nationally, and I will say though, I really prefer to work kind of Central Time Zone and East, only because I'm one of those people that if I'm horizontal after 8:30, I'm asleep. It's just bad. But I get up at the crack of dawn.
So is Michelle, but she's not sleeping. Oh, sorry, couldn't resist.
I love 6th grade humor.
I know it.
Well,
was it scary to like, I mean, at some point you had to decide to get more narrow. Like, I know, and obviously you gravitated towards that segment because there was opportunity and there was money there. But like you weren't always that specialized, or none of us ever.
Yeah,
really
I was. My firm started in that, and that's where I stayed. And we went from a kind of assisted living, memory care into more of that high end, only from as a strategic move during the Great Recession. But we stayed there, and that's been kind of our main bread and butter is just those site level leadership roles.
Gotcha.
But I think to your point, Chris, when you talk about being so niche about it, I mean, it can move, right? Like in construction, we've been niched in certain aspects of construction by geography and by discipline and by company size. But, that changed. Like in COVID, that changed. And I mean, we knew people were going to sustain by building multifamily apartments, by building senior living facilities, and by building warehouses. So what we did is we took our database and pumped it full of information that was targeted to those sectors of construction, and we started communicating with those sectors, and hence we built a bigger percentage of market share within that construction realm, and it helped us survive a pretty down year for construction. But ultimately that was our niche at that time. Now we haven't completely gone away from that. We've expanded a little bit and contracted a little bit in other areas, but the niche is important because it allows you to be more nimble, move faster, create more value within client and candidate networks, and ultimately be more efficient, with your time and effort.
Bodie, let me ask you a question. Let me ask all three of you, because this is something that, it's because this is a conversation on the niche that we hear and have all the time. Now, we have a group of the best of the best. What I always say is, I don't know $1 million biller that doesn't niche. Is that true? I mean, it's the only way to do it in my mind. I now have the people that could tell me whether what I've been professing as a trainer is true. Do you have to be at your level? Does anyone do it any other way? I'm curious about that.
We kind of do it scientific search, because I went to a Danny Cahill Ricky retreat 20 years ago, and I came back and I was like, Danny Cahill said you have to be in a complete narrow niche. We're doing it wrong because we're generalists within the pharma biotech space. So whether it's R&D, like a scientist, or whether it's medical affairs, or whether it's commercial development, I was like, I went back to my boss and I was like, I know I've only been here 3 days, but I think we need to turn this ship around, right? And he was like, yeah, no, not so much. And so I just had a conversation with my managing director last night, as a matter of fact, and she said, aren't you glad that we did not narrow the scope of our business? And she said that because a lot of folks in our space that only do sales, that only do scientists, that only do, fill in the blank, they're having trouble right now, where we're generalists within the life sciences, and it's keeping us afloat. At least it did in 2023. Because,
well, when you say we, though, and I'm sorry, but when you say we, do you each run specialty desks within it, or are you all kind of generalists?
We are all generalists, all 23 of us.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
But it's still a niche, right? And by the way, I don't say niche. I'm a niche guy.
I'm a niche guy too. Absolutely.
I'm a niche, but I thought we were going with
are
niche.
In the niches.
I didn't want to feel left out, so I'm like, all right, they're fancy guys, so I'll say
the Knights of
niche.
or niche, if you want to be French.
Niche,
something like that. Niche.
Yeah.
All right. So with that said, but you still have a niche, right? So it's life sciences.
Yeah.
But it's not like super narrow. But I guess let me ask you this. Let's say you had to start a new niche, because I know, Bodhi, you've done that. At what point do you decide that you may need to move? And what do you do? Because I know for a lot of folks that have been in one niche, whatever, for the last for a number of years, it's really hard to make that pivot. Yeah. So I guess, Bodhi, what did you do? Like, how did you do it? I mean, you told us a little bit about it, but maybe describe that a little bit more.
So 2008 to 2009, I was in construction. It was dead. And most people that were in it got out of it. So I actually switched over to what's upstream oil and gas, where, I ended up targeting petroleum engineers, geoscientists, land professionals. And there's people that are in Pinnacle that do that and have done that for the majority of the time. I got success in that. And then when it was dying at the end of 2015, I had my partner with me then. We were working with the firm. We knew it was dying. And but when I first switched, it was because I didn't have a choice. I was going to do something else or I was going to fail. So going into oil and gas made sense, and I was able to produce a pretty quality desk out of it. Going into construction, after I had success in oil and gas, we killed it in oil and gas. I mean, we did well, and we knew it was dying. It was harder because we had that success. And to leave all of that behind, 5 years of what we had done behind, was a difficult decision emotionally, right? I mean, you can see how to do it. We knew how to build the desk, but to let it go was hard. So, we take the old adage, from Cortez when he came to the Americas and he brought all his people on the land, and he didn't want anybody to have the ability to retreat. So he burned all of his boats. Well, we did that. We burned the boats. We put that oil and gas division in a desk. We shut it, locked the key, and threw it away. And we said, this is our only option, and this is what we're going to have to do. And we started with data. We started mining data, and we started putting it into our database. We started communicating with it as best we could until it started to grow and develop. And because we were successful recruiters by then, Daniel and I, my business partner and I, we turned out a pretty damn good year in 2016. I don't know what we did. I think we did about $700K between the two of us, which wasn't great. But, for a new desk and having to mine all that data and build the database, we thought we did pretty good. So, it was the mental aspect of it that was the hardest part. You just got to get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think recruiting, in general, if you have those good recruiting skills, it really doesn't matter. You can tell me, go find whatever, and I'm going to be able to go. It's what makes a good recruiter isn't the niche. It's it's the skill that you have and being that people person.
Although I would say that, yeah, I agree, but there's also a skill necessary to recognize like which way the winds are blowing.
Absolutely.
Right. So like you can have people who are good recruiters who are kind of rudderless because they're like, hey, I know if you tell me to find this, I can find that, whatever. But a lot of them aren't necessarily aware of like the directions that markets are going. I think one of the advantages if you're in a certain space is like you can see trends, you can see what's happening, and you can identify other opportunity, start to position yourself. Like I think that's the other missing piece for that.
No, I'll agree with that too. What's going on in the world, what's going on in the country, what's moving, what's not, and being able to make that tack.
Well, that's so great about getting together twice a year.
Yeah.
With Pinnacle members. You know, we get together at 2 conferences, and whether it's Bodie in construction or Kathy in old people homes, like, I don't know. What do I say? How do I say that?
I believe the term is old geezers
adult
is the right term to use nowadays.
Yeah, I was going to say nursing home.
I feel like they keep Michelle in a separate room at these things. I don't know.
Me too.
Oh, can I tell you a funny story that you guys could all relate to? Because I just put my dad in there last week, right? So this place is so gorgeous, as you know, Kathy. Like I had no idea how like just beautiful they are. And I'm like looking for a place, right? So it's just joking, but I'm like, because it was such an amazing thing. I'm like, how much, what's the minimum age to get in here? Because I'm 60, like 55. So I was joking. And she says, why? You thinking of coming in? I'm like, only half joking, you know? And then I was, of course, joking. And she said, I'd get an amazing sugar mama, right? I'd be a sugar baby and all these old people.
Yes, all these little old ladies that are all widowed. Let me just tell you, they'd be all over you, Neil.
But then
the Casanova of the old
rap for like Match.com or Bumble or Tinder. When I bring them back there, it's not really good for my rap. You know, that's what I was thinking. Anyway, back to you guys.
Well, have you heard about my idea for a dating app for grandparents? It's like Tinder, but for grandmas and grandpas, called Grindr. It's getting an obscure joke.
We're just gonna let
no one really gets it. It doesn't.
You let that one go
when you tell it, and you still do it. It's just.
I love it. Now, I do want to, but bringing it back to the discussion about niches. One of the things that I think that to piggyback off what Chris said, as far as knowing which way the wind is blowing, I think a lot of people forget to do this, but I think one of the best things you can do is talk to your prospects. I mean, talk to the people in your niche. I mean, every time you talk to a director or VP or whatever sort of hiring manager that you would talk to, always ask them how they're seeing the market. If they see who's hiring, who's firing, who's laying off. I think so many of us are so involved in just the transaction side of the business. We're not building those relationships and finding out like where the wind is blowing from the people that are actually on the ground, that are in the industry themselves. And I think a lot of times we miss that when it comes to the niche. Like listen to the people that are in your niche. And I think especially for the older folks or folks that have been in the niche for a long time, we forget to do that because we're the experts in the niche. We don't talk to them about what's going on. I think it's a big piece of it as well. Make sure that you're talking to your people about that, right?
We schedule what we call courtesy calls if it's a really good candidate in our space, like at the VP level or higher, just for the exact purpose that you just mentioned, just because it helps you take the temperature of what the hell's going on at that level, whether or not, 2024, there's going to be 0 headcount growth, or whether there are going to be layoffs, or, just people at that level talk, and they love to hear themselves talk. So, schedule a courtesy call, and these senior VPs will flap like a canary, sing like a canary, about what's going on.
We oftentimes, I think if you talk to active candidates, regardless of what level they're on, if they're really specified within our niche, one, why they end up, if they are going to be let go from their company, or why they're looking to move on for their company, and then what they're looking at going forward. Are there jobs out there? Are they getting interviewed? If so, where? Because then you can at least get some data. And if you talk to 30 of those within a week's time frame, it gives you a pretty general understanding of what, like you said, which way that wind's blowing, because they're actively dealing with it.
Well, in fact, when I first started the business, one of the things I was taught is, and I'm afraid it was, I don't know, maybe it was a Finkel thing or maybe Tony Byrne thing, whatever it was, but I remember very distinctly that I was given a piece of paper with 6 goals on it. So every single time I talked to anybody in the industry, I had, first off, get a send out, right? And for those young people in the business, that means interview with the client. Get a send out, get a job order, get a candidate, get a referral, and at a bare minimum, if you can't get any of those, get get knowledge about the industry, find out the scuttlebutt, the gossip, rumors, who's doing what. And I think every single call you make, you can get that information. Really, really key. So yeah, I remember that. That was day one of my training back with MRI back in the day.
Yeah.
But we did get a comment from Jay Venard. So my boy Jay, he asks, would love to hear about how these three plan their day and what their daily activity looks like. So yeah, let's talk about that. How do you guys plan your day, being the big billers that you are? What do you do?
This is going to be this is bad because I know that you all, all the digital, all the everything. Let me show you how I plan my day.
Is that color code? What is that?
It's color coded. So I make a list of, first of all, my list is a little bit organized every day. So the first things on the list are what's closest to the money. The second thing on the list is what do I get done to get closer to money. And then the last of the list is things that I really just need to get done. For me, it really depends too, is if I'm recruiting on orders, do I need to be talking to candidates? And of course that's kind of a planned list also, but oftentimes I'm doing a lot of BD. So the first part of my day is business development, and I'm just talking to people and I'm training my team and working with them. The most important thing that I train new people to do is every single call, just like what you were saying, David, you got to be able to get something out of the call. And the most important thing that they need to get out of the call is does this company that they work with, whether this is a candidate that we're going to work with or not, do they work with search firms when they need important positions filled? That's all I need to know. And then those leads come to me and I start working my magic and developing those. So that's, I take a kind of a rainmaker approach to it. But yes, I am organized I do have my calls. I have a scheduler that does all of my interviews, does all the sending out of information. And that's all, she lives in the Philippines. She's fabulous.
Yeah, Kathy, the problem is, and David and I as trainers are going to tell you this, you have to automate. You're never going to make it in this world, kid. You got to trust us. Okay.
I know. 16
Dang
years.
rookies.
Yeah.
16 years, and at some point I'm going to get it. I got to automate. I do use an Outlook calendar.
Kathy.
I know. I use an Outlook calendar. I do.
Neil was so disgusted with you.
I know.
I'm not at all.
And you know what?
Digital
Any
headhunters.
automations or software are only as good as the underlying processes. So,
Yeah.
But let me say this, because I want to comment on that, Michelle.
What a nerd.
For real, what's actually brilliant about it, what's brilliant about it is we talk on the show all the time about people focusing on all the minutiae. They're not focusing on the business. They're not focusing on sales. What you do, just what you laid out is brilliant, actually. So no, I'm not. I think it's great because it just keeps what you got to do. And you've just made it simple. I'm going to be on the phone. This is what I got to get done. All the other stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't.
The simpler it is,
because
the
it
easier
eventually
to
gets
follow.
onto that list in any good time management system. And you've dumbed it down to that. So I think it's brilliant. Really.
I also noticed that you marketed in the morning. Now, when I was first taught in the business, I was told market in the morning, recruit in the afternoon. Now, I was told there was the reason why, at least what I was told by my original mentor in the business, was that marketing is the hardest thing in the world to do for recruiters. So get that over with. So get it done. You get the hardest thing in the world done in the morning, and then you can do what we love to, which is recruit in the afternoon. And I was always told that when you cold call people at work, usually they're
right.
They're
your mentor
more
said it,
frustrated.
it has to
Typically,
be
that's where you
true.
want to.
Well, and I heard the same
Yeah.
thing in the market in
Now,
the morning
who
was basically
knows
like get
if it's
job
true or
orders
not,
in the
but-
morning and get candidates in the afternoon for the job orders you got in the morning.
That was
how
recruiting
my manager
101 back in the
rationalized
day.
it.
Recruiting
was.
101.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk
Yeah.
about. So, what about you guys? So, Bodie or Michelle, how do you guys plan your day? So, we know Kathy uses this old, antiquated thing called a pen and a piece of paper for young kids.
They
She's
say the
destroying
pen is
rainforest
mightier.
as we speak. But how about you guys, Bodie or Michelle? What do you guys do?
Go ahead, Bodie.
We work in PC Recruiter, so it's got its own calendar, and you can plan and schedule through there. So we're not different from the way Kathy plans, though. I mean, it's always priority is closest to the money. Second priority is what do we have to move things to get them closer to the money, but that varies each day, so it's not always the same. A general day for me would look like I'm going to have preps and debriefs from whatever send outs or interviews that we have that day on my schedule. I may have a couple of warm marketing calls on my schedule. I don't care when I schedule them. I'll call them anytime from 7 to 7. But, Daniel and I work 360 desk. It's our practice. So whatever we eat, what we kill. So I got to recruit. So by 9 o'clock, I want to be ready. I've got usually 2 roll-up lists prepped up in PC Recruiter, and I want to jam out 30 calls before noon on 1 or 2 searches. And I do the same thing after 1 o'clock, till about 3, because those tend to be prime recruiting hours. I tend to be, most motivated in those timeframes. Does this get thrown out the window 80% of the time? Yeah, because what we've always believed in is that if we see a lead that we feel is strong, we'll ditch something and go chase it. I know that's not the most positive way to spend your time, but it's worked for us. So, but in general, that's what we do. And we have to be, at a 50, 60 call clip a day mentality. But I also do a lot of work at night. It's my business. Daniel does too. So we'll work from 6:30, 7 o'clock, sometimes till 9 o'clock, prepping LinkedIn emails, writing scripts that we're going to blast out to our, email blast the next day. We're trying to generate leads with a lot, to a lot of folks by sending information to a lot of folks, so that we get information back that helps us schedule our day on warm leads rather than cold calling all day long. Because I don't know who likes cold calling, but I certainly don't. After 16 years, I hadn't changed.
But it's still important, though. I mean, what Kathy said, what you said, it's all about being on the phone, right? And I think, and for a lot of you young kids out there, a phone is this device that you put to your ears because you got a little swirly cord on it, and it's how you actually communicate with people, not over email. So, for young kids out there, that's what a phone is. But I remember when I first started the business, it was just all dialing all day long. So, because we didn't really even use email much in 2000 when I started on search, right? It was way before LinkedIn. What about you, Michelle? What do you do? So how do you plan your day, and what do you do throughout your day?
So I'm sort of a combination person. I use an electronic calendar Outlook, and that has all of my scheduled appointments, whether it's with clients or whether it's with candidates. But I have this to-do checklist where I write out, these are the things that are closest to the money. So I still use an electronic calendar. It pops up like I knew to be on here because my electronic calendar went, put your lipstick on. So I know how to use that. But this literally says, close Shannon's effing deal. Like this
you are killing me only because my company, Back Office Staffing Solutions, my entire business is based upon automation. Right. So I'm just saying, so it's hysterical that you are now coming on there. 2 of the 3 of you are just killing it at crazy levels with your own non-automation thing. And it's amazing.
I use automation. I use text.
I know. I'm just saying, it's amazing though.
Yeah, I use all that stuff.
No.
But I have to
I'm sorry, keep going, Michelle. Keep going.
I think it's a Gen X thing. Like we made lists.
Yeah.
I think it's a Gen X.
I'm a Gen Xer too.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Next generation, by the way, in my opinion.
1976, Gen X.
So,
go ahead, Michelle.
One question we have from the audience is about your mix of business. As far as, do you guys do retainers, contingency, exclusive, or something else mentioned multi-firm? I'm not quite sure what that means, but
contingent.
What do you guys do?
Well, I think when they said multi-firm, they mean do you work on projects that other firms are also working on? I think that's probably what they meant by multi-firm.
Oh, kind of like split. Okay, I see that.
So,
Bodie,
you do like, are you exclusive,
right?
or will you take recs from a company that's also called it out to other recruiters? I think that's what they mean by multi-firm.
I mean, that's not ideal, but I'm not going to.
Sometimes they don't tell you.
Take the search. Yeah, sometimes they don't tell you, but after a few days of recruiting, you know that someone else has it, and then you could just do a Google search on some keywords and you can figure out exactly who has it. But whatever, you still have to. Sometimes it's more motivating. I mean, that's when I'm in front of the TV with my laptop thinking, I'm going to beat that bastard. I'll get these people first.
Yeah, it's competitive for sure. We agree to that. Yeah, we're like, hey, we're going to kick these people's ass. We know we're going to
exactly.
And we like to win. Do we win them all? No, but the contingency model, I think, gets beat down, and I think people think retain's better because they've never done it. It's hard. You still have to go do the same job.
It's different.
Yeah, it is different.
It's just
why
different.
we like the contingency model because it offers us the freedom that we like as far as how we recruit. But if you're going to be in a contingency model and you want it to work, one, being niche is very key important, because you got to be able to recycle candidates. Like, say, if I got a multifamily guy, project manager, well, if he works for this one company that does multifamily, then every other company that does multifamily, because the product's almost the same, he can go work for all of them. So if I've got paper into 15 multifamily companies and he's willing to move, relocate, or stay local, I can put him in front of 15 companies. Now, I just increased my probability of placing that person because I've got the paper and I've got the job openings and I've got him, and I can play him in there. That is really what you have to do. So what happens is you have to concentrate on your client procurement. What kind of client portfolio am I putting together for the people that I'm willing to recruit contingently, right? Because I'm going to be competing with almost all of these people. But if you do it more with that kind of nucleus, you can move faster, and then people start to come to you rather than go to other people, and then you beat them based on timing and availability and kind of word of mouth. And that's really what we've found successful in the contingent model.
Well, like what you said, Bodie, like people could do it well or do it poorly. Sorry.
Yeah, we do a mix. I mean, I probably do 20% retained, and then the rest of it is contingent. But of that contingent, probably 80% of it is what we call a priority search or an engaged search. So, they'll pay $5,000 up front, and then, it guarantees them a minimum of 3 qualified candidates in 15 business days, extends the candidate guarantee to 90 days. We have a 1-year guarantee on our retained. So we do, we'll also do straight up contingent search if, they don't we don't want to pay that. And then I'm like, well, I'm not going to guarantee you any candidates. I'll see who I've got, 5 minutes on it. Here we go.
But that's it goes down.
Yeah. So, the engaged piece is really important. I think that was a huge switch that we made, probably 2015, 2016. Everything we do is engaged, and I don't do anything less than $5,000 if I'm doing a priority search.
You don't do any. You do no contingency in that world. 100%
rare. It's rare that I do a straight contingent search. Really probably 90% of 80 to 90% of the contingent search that I do is what I call priority. And so the way that I describe it from a marketing standpoint, it allows me to put you as a priority on our schedule, right? Because you have a little skin in the game, and I'm putting skin in the game, right? So
what's a healthy mix when you get a chance? What do you all think when we're on this topic? Just keep going. But like, what's a good number for everyone out there? Like, what should it be? Keep going. Like, I'm interested in this.
As far as what's a healthy, what do you
retain to contingency? Like, should it be one or the other? Should you aim for, like, on temp on my world? Contract staff is 20%, right?
Yeah. We do all three, and we do, retained is 35%, and both the contingent.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
It's 35%. It's 25% if they do the. But I'm doing a whole lot less work in priority and contingent search. I'm not having to do all of the big giant presentation, I like retained search because, hey, you're getting paid. Put a little thing in there at the bottom of your contract, though, that says if you cancel the search, that it's 90% of it is paid to you. So you want to make sure you have that in there. But I think priority is the way to go, because it gives you the flexibility that if you don't like the client, or they're not looking at your people right, and they're kind of dicking around with you, then you can leave them, right? It's easier to leave a contingent search than it is the retained one. So to me, if you're doing retained, you're locked in, dude. You gotta you got to hang on forever.
That's like when I started switching mostly to engaged searches a few years back, away from 15 plus years of contingency. That was a lesson I had to learn pretty early on. That's careful what you wish for. Like, cause when you get into bed with a client on a retained basis, like now you're in. So like you have to have some outs built.
Don't spend that engagement fee. Don't spend that engagement fee until you actually close the deal as well.
Alarm buzzing? Is your alarm buzzing, David?
No, it's not, but I wanted to let these fine people talk. But that said,
but you're funny, David. You have something you want to share about. You have some exciting programs that you've been rolling out,
That's
and
right.
you have a
That's right.
big
Thank you for
double your clients. Say, don't be shy. Talk about it for
thank
a
you for
second while we have time.
the call out
Plug
there,
your business,
Neil.
David.
Yeah, so let's actually do some promo. So quick guys, we're gonna promo some of our stuff here. First off, let's start actually with Neil. So as you guys know, Neil runs Back Office Staffing Solutions, also known as Boss, which is a great name. But they are the boss of all the back office staffing solutions providers out there. There's a lot of them out there, but and I'm not saying this because Neil's my buddy, but it actually is a really high quality service. So you're going to want to go to backofficenow.com.
Get rid of the
Actually,
staff
this is
thing.
wrong. Here we
That's
go.
just backofficenow.com. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Backofficenow.com. Sign up, or if you want his staffing, his little
No,
ebook
don't
as
use
well.
that one because it doesn't forward. My bad. It doesn't forward. Just
Oh,
keep
it's
the
not okay. All right, so we're
go to you.
just in the now.
Enough about me.
So-
Backofficenow.com.
Just keep putting links up. Something
you
will
gotta,
work.
You got to automate it.
I know. Go back to
Super
that's
professional here.
hysterical.
Yeah,
That's
Because
funny.
you're
David,
boss, yeah,
talk
go to
about you.
backofficenow.com. It's a great platform. And for me, I've got a few things I want to promote. The main one is we help deploy sales and marketing systems. So if anybody here needs a high octane sales and marketing system, we deploy it in 30 days or less, and we have a 90-day guarantee along with there. Let me there we go. Go to realdsp.me/build. Right. If you want to get on the phone with me, and I'll walk you through the program. We also have it's a guarantee. And in addition to that, we have a new off Facebook or Flakebook recruiter community called the Headhunters Syndicate. Go to realdsp.me/syndicate. Join there. We don't sell your data. You can talk about spicy subjects without worrying about getting banned by big tech. So go to realdsp.me/syndicate. With that said, Neil, are you satisfied? Do we do enough promos for you?
Absolutely. Keep going. For
Thank
me,
you, sir.
for me, that's for you. I didn't want one for
Yeah,
me.
and also for me too. That's very true. But
already
hey, let's
paid mine
actually one thing I
before.
want to talk about is engaged fees. Kathy, you mentioned that if somebody works with you on an engaged basis on your priority search, that you extend the guarantee, and you also extend the guarantee for retain. That's something that I want to talk about, at least touch on real quickly. For a lot of people that, for me, I always had a hard time getting just engagements because I was in the IT space, and in IT it's like 20% contingent, and it's really hard to get. You get engagements for folks that are used to paying in contingent for like analysts and developers and architects, et cetera. Obviously, going after higher level positions got me into engagements. That really helped me. But a big part of it actually is when I started productizing the offer and offering let's say a 90-day replacement guarantee for exclusive contingency, but for the exact same price, they can get a full 1 year guarantee from me for the exact same price. And for a lot of folks, a lot of clients who, they may not know if someone's going to work out until someone's been there for a few months. What good does that guarantee do them if that person rolls off in 4 or 5 or 6 months? So that's what helped me a lot, is offering that sort of tiered structure.
Yep.
Is that why you did that? To be able to entice people to get that, to do engaged?
I got actually part of it is that I got tired of doing work without getting paid. And what we found is that when people engage and pay something up front, they're more engaged in the process. They really are serious about wanting our help in filling a position. I mean, there's a lot of clients out there who, yeah, I'll sign your agreement. Yeah, go find me, contingent, go do a contingent search. But they're always looking to fill it on their own. They would prefer to not really look at recruited candidates. And so I'd rather use them as sources, right? So you can pay me up front, or you're going to have to pay me one way or the other, because I'm either you can pay me to recruit people, or I'm going to take your people. It's better
Kathy,
to
you're
stay-
nasty. I would never do that.
No, but I offer the priority as the way that I present it is, you know whether it's going to be a retained search or not. Those higher level searches that you're really going to have to be on, you're going to have to pitch that as retained. But then you give them the other two options, and they like the option of the extended guarantee, and also the guarantee of minimally three qualified candidates within 15 business days, because this is about speed. And that's what I built my brand on, is I'm delivering, and I'm delivering fast, right?
Yeah.
If any search goes longer than 4 weeks, we lose 75% of the time.
Yeah.
If you don't get the search covered within 3 weeks, really 4 weeks is pushing it. But if it's
Yep.
not covered in 3 weeks, you're going to lose on the search. You will.
Okay. So actually, this next question then is perfect because Michael G. Cox, a great friend of the show, he asks, so if you're going to cover these searches, candidate sourcing, nobody answers phones, in-mail is dead, email response rates suck. So are you using video when messaging candidates? If so, how? Loom videos. That's his question. So how are you getting a hold of these candidates when it's so hard to do that nowadays?
Y'all want
All of the above.
Yeah, all of the above.
All of the above.
I
We
mean,
are
really, find their
texting,
cell
emailing,
phones.
calling, doing videos.
Yeah.
Yep. We've actually got.
You know them, do you reach out to them at work?
Oh hell
Yes. Yeah.
Oh hell yes.
That's how I get to them.
It's a shameless.
Yeah.
A lot of newer
contact sport.
recruiters, they do
If I got
that.
a number, I'm calling it. I don't care if it's their
Mhm.
grandma's house. If they're there, I want to talk.
Yeah.
But you know,
Yeah.
it's a
Well,
process.
so what about
it
this?
can-
So what about any new strategies? Like, for example, do you guys use any video messaging to reach out to these folks? I know video messaging can work pretty well,
Interview.
especially let's say on LinkedIn.
Hinterview. Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't
Hinterview.
realize Michelle used Hinterview also. I use Hinterview.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
British platform that it's really cool. Anyway, lots of cool things on that. But yeah, video interviews.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a good
video
platform.
things, little snippets to get people, but mostly calling people at work because they're going to answer the phone there. Somebody's going to answer the phone. And frankly, in my niche, nurses are not on nobody's on LinkedIn. Nobody, they may or may not look at email, but I'm going to have to call them at work. And so I call them the wanna buy chicken calls, and you just have to call them all the time, over and over.
Years ago, years and years ago, I remember back when I was recruiting underwriters before I started doing SAP, back maybe 2001, 2002. I remember I was calling this place so much where the manager picked up the line and he yelled at me, "Quit calling my people!" And he hung up,
Mhm.
and then I kept calling his people. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Be
calling
a
people at
turtle.
work. That's the way we were all taught originally, and I think a lot of like younger recruiters nowadays feel this sort of anxiety calling people at work or emailing them at work and whatnot, and like never be ashamed to present opportunities, even if it's at their work.
Yeah,
Okay, well, it's at the end of the day, it's
Yeah.
My cubicle was decorated with emails from angry like business owners and CEOs. Don't ever contact I'd print them off and I'd put them up there. I was like, yeah, okay.
But right
Like,
next to it is the letter from your candidate that said, "I'm so glad she called me for the 8th time before I spoke
Yeah.
with her." Right?
And right next to my whiteboard is stuff that I closed.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Does anyone sort of tailor how they're communicating with a candidate based on their age? Like if I see someone is younger, I'll text. If I see someone is my age, I'll call or email. And I'm noticing that younger recruiters, like early in their career, they're so like, oh yeah, like all their communication is via text, where like I think, oh man, I don't know if I want to text a VP while he's at work, but it depends on how I think they're going to be, which method will they be receptive to.
Got to know your audience.
well for Neil, it's all about take a stone tablet and you chip away the message because old school. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the way I always describe it is, look, at the end of the day, you smoke
Neil's like,
signals
are
if they
you
work.
interested? And he faxes it over.
Wax paper, thermal fax, wax fax.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, let's do this, guys. We're about to run up here on the top of the hour, so we're gonna start wrapping up here in a few minutes. But I want to give you guys maybe an opportunity to, if you have any last and final words, especially for those folks watching this that are down in the dumps. It's kind of a hard year. So words for them, to think for those folks, they want to hear how you guys are thriving in a year where so many other recruiters are struggling.
I want to
I'll
just
go first.
piggyback on what we just said about making the calls, because
No, you won't.
you are a fairy godmother. That's what I call myself, a fairy godmother. I show up unexpected in a cute dress and with amazing opportunities. Right now, y'all could say I'm the fairy godfather. It doesn't kind of work as well, right? But you have to think about that. You are a purveyor of opportunity for people. And of course they want to talk with you, and you would be doing them a disservice if you didn't offer the opportunity for them to look at these great opportunities. So your mindset is absolutely the most important thing. But I will say the thing that if you will start your day every day in gratitude, just the things that you are grateful for, the feelings, I mean, what you can do and the life that you can build with this industry, just sit in that gratitude, because you can't feel all the anxiety and all the awful things that you feel when things aren't going well. Just think about all the things that you can be grateful for, and it makes your day go a lot better. That's me.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's great
I
advice,
would
Kathy.
agree with.
Great advice.
Here's my little post.
Although I
You
will
guys see
say
it?
nowadays, if showing up as a fairy godfather in a cute dress nowadays, that's supposed to be okay too. So
It'd be okay.
I guess it's a brave new world.
Can you guys
What
read
about you,
that?
Bodie? What advice do you have to give for folks that might be struggling this year?
I mean, it boils down to hustle. For us, it's actually one of the core values that we created for our new company, Blackwood. You got to be willing to do more than what the other people are doing. But I think the nucleus of who we are in our industry is that we believe in the construction industry. We believe in what it provides, the U.S. from a landscape of prosperity. And we've made it our point to be a voice in that industry. And we feel like we need to be heard, because our voice allots for good things that happen to our clients and good things that happen for our candidates. And if we believe that, and we come from that place, and we work harder than others, we've been successful in producing when times aren't as good as others. And that's really the simplest way I could put it.
100%.
There's
Yeah,
a
you're
sticky note,
like
Michelle.
a beacon in the industry, right? You have to think about in that way. Well, Michelle, what about you? What last words do you have for folks that are struggling this year?
Well, I would just sort of, tandem to what Kathy said. The sticky note that I turned into my screensaver is: your life is so easy and you are so blessed. So whenever I start to spiral because a deal blew up, or a client, and I just saw a client email me pissed about something, but whatever, man. I just look at the sticky note and I'm like, shit happens. It is what it is. Like, we're in a chaotic, crazy kind of work, and it's so analogous from where, if you've ever worked in the restaurant business, when you get like triple sat and you look at the hostess and you're like, seriously?
In the weeds.
Like, you're in the weeds and you're trying to manage all, and your food's coming out and the cook screwed up and the bartender bitch won't get your drinks, and you're just like, fuck, But at the end of the day, we make it too complicated. You have to trust in the process. Get a good job order. It's got to be a good job order, because the rest doesn't matter. And find the best candidate. Present the best candidate. Get the damn offer. Close the deal. Like, sometimes we make it too complicated. It's very cyclical. Like in 2023, I had my worst year in 13 years. But, and you can ask my best friend, who happens to also be my boss. I was out of my mind with anger. And I was like, you know what? This shit's like, trust in the process. Do your job. It'll turn around. It's not more complicated than that. Do your damn job.
100%. Yeah, there's a lot to be said. And we had Steve Finkel on like a month and a half ago. And same thing, Steve Finkel has great advice. He's not necessarily up with the times necessarily, but he has a lot of great advice that are true principles that are as true nowadays, as true as they were 40 years ago. In fact, maybe even more true, like cold calling. In a world where no one cold calls get attention. You know what I mean? In a world where everybody is emailing doesn't get as much attention. So think about with the university industry, if they're not following those core principles, it makes following those core principles even more important and more effective, in my opinion.
If it wasn't hard, everybody would do it. Nobody would make any money. That's what my old boss used to tell me, and that's what I believe.
It's true.
That is 100%, and it makes you better as a person. I think for me, most of my personal growth has come from recruiting, being in the business, and just the chaos of it, and at times, Michelle, like I said before, sometimes it's like too much. You're in the weeds, but other times, because you're in the business and you're constantly talking to people, constantly talking to candidates and clients, sometimes things just work together. I remember, I mean, we all have those stories where we have there's one call placements where a client calls with a job board, and you're like, God, I know the perfect guy. And you call that guy, and that guy gets hired. And it's a one call placement, and that's where everything just kind of comes together, works in this amazing symphony. It's times like that everything is worth it, you know. But you can't get there unless you go through all the shit to get there, right?
Like in Happy Gilmore he says, harness the good, block the bad. If anybody knows that reference, good for them.
Harness the good, block the bad. Where's that from? A movie?
It's Happy Gilmore.
That's right. Happy Gilmore. That's a great movie.
I'm a movie buff. I had to throw in something.
That's a great movie.
He also said it's all in the hips.
It is, exactly.
All in the hips.
That's what Rich Rosen always says.
Almost every day.
So
I just gave you a layup, and she nailed it.
Yeah, we start with Rich Rosen. We're going to end with Rich Rosen. David, take it from there. Wrap it up, brother.
All right, guys. Thank you very much, everybody. We've got to roll. This is a great show. Bodie, I really appreciate it. Kathy, I appreciate it. Michelle as well. Really appreciate you being on the show and telling us about your sordid history with Rich Rosen. It's fantastic. In fact, guys, we're probably going to have Rich Rosen on in a few weeks as well, so make sure you tune in for that. Everybody, again, comment replay if you're watching the replay on this one. Like the show, love it. Share it with your friends. And we are now officially on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. All right. Everybody, thank you very much. Great to see you guys. And as always, peace out, Cub Scouts.
Peace.